Bendición. What up, everybody? This is El Conquistador back with another video. Like always, sorry for the shitty lighting. This is my environment. But I hope you guys can hear me a little better now that I'm wearing these babies. If you haven't seen my last video on the difference between bendición and alafia when it comes to verbalizing our salutations to somebody, please check it out. But this is kind of a loose continuation of that content. I wanted to give a personal experience of when I stepped into a place where there was no such thing as bendición. But if you didn't see the last video, basically you can say bendición to someone, but in Isese Lagba, in Black American houses, which most, from my experience at least, I can't say most, but many Black Americans are not Lukumi-ocha, they are Isese Lagba. As a result, the greeting is alafia and the response alafia ni. This overall video is about being flexible and adapting to your environment. So, story time. I was recently invited and attended an Isese Lagba event. It was for a gungun, it was a drumming, and I met wonderful, wonderful people. But the crux here is I went in with a 100% understanding that there will be yanifas present, things that do not exist in Cuban Ocha. And there will be mostly Black Americans that know nothing of Cuban Lukumi, Cuban Ocha, La Regla de Ocha, Santeria, whatever it is you want to call it. And I adjusted my ways to accommodate the environment that I was stepping into. So from the very first person I greeted, I did not say bendición. I said alafia. I'm not even sure if I crossed my arms. Probably did out of habit. But I just shook the person's hand, alafia. Oh, hi, alafia. It's nice to meet you. You guys need help setting up the tables or anything? And that was it. And when it came time to prostrate to elders, I did not do the traditional lukumi foribale, as it's called. They have a slight variation where they're, instead of being straight down, face down, you do kind of like a push-up where you're face down, but your pelvis is touching closer to the ground than the rest of your body. So you're still face down, but you're like holding yourself up a little bit with your hands. As opposed in Cuban Ocha, when you have a male orisha on your head, you prostrate and you don't have your hands like this. You have your hands just back, just on your side. And you're like, your stomach, chest, everywhere is on the ground. You're just laying on the floor. I was taught in Isese that you don't put your body completely on the floor. It's like you hold yourself slightly up so your entire torso is not touching the floor, pelvis slightly down, more so than the rest of your body. And then there was no, when the Ianifa lifted me up, I can't remember what she uttered, if she uttered anything, but there was no Lukumi Oboato Batala Nagbeodide. I am under the belief that like the Lukumi, I'm talking about the ones from the 1850s, 60s, 70s, and Efuche, and Obatero, and Nyabelen Gonzalez, Apoto Chunlaibo, Efuche, and Obadime, all them, that there has to be the ability to adapt and be malleable when stepping into certain spaces. So this was a whole new environment for me, full of Black Americans who don't speak Spanish in any way, shape, or form. Who don't know, they know zero Lukumi. Santeria is not a thing. Under that roof, there was no such thing as bendición. There is no such thing as, I can't talk about espiritismo. I can't talk about, oh, in Lukumi, this is how we do things, or, just if there's sometimes maybe Spanish thrown in there. All that goes out the window. But I went in knowing this. So who am I to waltz into this space like I'm the shit, or I know better because I come from a different religious background and an understanding? There were people with Ifa made, but not Ocha. That's another thing. When I heard that, I said, you're a Babala, or you're an Ianifa, and you don't have Ocha made. And I can't even talk like that either. I have to say, and you're not initiated. Because again, that's like Spanish terminology. Oh, when did you make santo? When did you make ocha? Or I have ocha made. Or what santo do you have on your head? All that goes out the window. And I learned that there were people with ifa made and no ocha made first, which is unheard of. The only exception being in Cuban Ocha, if your crown is Odua, that's all debatable, Odua, then you can pass straight into Ifa. But these people, they made Ifa, and then say, oh no, the next year I'm gonna make Ocha. They didn't say that, I'm gonna get initiated to Ochun or whoever. I've never heard of that in my life. But who am I to walk around and saying, well, actually, you have to make sure that you get initiated first and then make Ifa. I don't know nothing about no Abeokuta, Nigeria, and how things are done over there. So I kept shut. So there were people with Ifa made and not Ocha. As a matter of fact, there were women with Ifa made and not Ocha. And for the most part, other than the main Ianifa, and there was one other who was actually a Puerto Rican man who is all Isese Lagba and knows little to nothing about Cuban Lukumi, which I found to be amazing because he's an outlier. Most Puerto Ricans are a part of Cuban Ocha, at least, if we're talking like religiously. The biggest population of this religion is Cubans and Puerto Ricans. And the reason being is a whole video unto itself. But the Ianifa's right-hand man is a Puerto Rican who knows nothing about Santeria. When I say knows nothing about, or knew zero Lukumi, I mean, they know, obviously, these people know that Santeria exists. And there's some Cuban stuff called Santeria, or as many people say, oh, you're into that Santa Maria stuff. Yeah, I'm into that Santa Maria stuff. So they know that Santeria exists, that La Regla de Ocha exists. They just don't know what it's called. So there's all this Santa Maria stuff. So that was very, very interesting unto itself. Me and my twin in Ocha, we went together, and we only got 3 years in Ocha and initiated. And we were two of the oldest ones there. But most of the people there had Ifa made and didn't have Orisha on their head. So it was just interesting dynamics. Let's see. So aside from the Ianifa that had 20 plus years of Ocha, she had godchildren with years of Ifa, but no Ocha, no initiation to Orisha. So I did not understand completely how the hierarchy worked within this Ifa-centric house, this Nigerian-eccentric house. So admittedly, I was bowing and touching the floor to people with Ifa made and not Ocha made, because when you greet someone in Ifa, you touch the floor with your fingertips. I can't remember whether it's your right hand or the left hand, but when you greet someone in Ifa, babalao, there's no such thing as the Ifas in Cuban Ocha, in Cuban Ifa. You touch the floor with your hand, and that's it. Oh, Iburu Iboya. So I was doing the same thing, but again, I'm not completely ignorant. I would do that to them, Aboru Aboya, and then Aboshishe. That's what they say, knowing very well that that's not how Cuban Lukumi, Iburu Iboya. They say Aboru Aboya. Same thing. But I adjusted my speech, I adjusted my ways of doing things, my understanding of doing things, because I'm under their roof, and that's the way they do things. And even then, there's a variation, because to the main Ianifa, I had to foribale to her. So, but I understand that at some point I was probably saluting dar foribale to people who didn't have Ocha made, but only Ifa, because I was honestly confused as to how all this Isese Lagba stuff works. But it boils down to respect. It's not the end of the world. It's just a sign of respect to the person and what walks with them. So that's just a story that I wanted to tell. Just the experience of I'm coming into this new environment, all these Isese Lagba, nothing but Black Americans, and there were 2 Puerto Ricans that know nothing about Cuban Ocha, Jamaicans, and I had to adjust my speech. I had to adjust, there was a matanzas going on, which they don't even call it matanzas, but they're feeding they give an offering of animales to Egun, or as they call it, Egungun. So I couldn't say Egun. I had to go in knowing, okay, this isn't Egun, this is Egungun. And the instead of saying Ibaye for the dead, they say Ibashe. Instead, they give a rooster to Elegua, but they don't say Elegua. They say Eshu, and they don't even say it with the Cuban Echu. They say with the sh Eshu, and something about the prayers were different. The ways of doing things were different. Instead of presenting coconut to the head, they were using cola nut, and then presenting they're going to give it to Elegua or Echu. They presented to the back of the head. And I looked at that and I said, oh, that makes sense. Echu ni Paco. So they presented to that when they, and the way they salute, and you got to like jump up and shake your hips and shake your ass to the warriors, because that's how they do things. You don't prostrate to the warriors. And it was just a whole different world. And it was beautiful. It was an incredible experience for me just to get more understanding and just see with my own eyes stuff that I've only seen on YouTube or read about in books. I have been to Oyotunji on one occasion, and so I saw that. I was like, yo, I was about to prostrate to Eshu, and I said, oh, no, you can't do that. I said, well, how do I salute? I just want to show some respect. And so, you gotta turn around and shake your ass. And I said, come again? Yeah. You jump, turn around, and you like shimmy your ass. And that's how you salute Elegua. That's how you salute, I think, Ogun too. But they say like Ogun Shaka, Ogun B, something like that. And as me being Cuban Lukumi, Lukumi religion, I'm like, if I want to salute Elegua, I just get on the ground and I ring the maraca and I'm face first, all the way down on the floor. That is taboo. You do not prostrate to warriors in Isese, but we do in Lukumi. So I think it'd be definitely great to do a video as like the differences that I've experienced and read and seen when it comes to Lukumi versus Isese Lagba. Definitely a wonderful topic, and I say everything I say is in love, and just because I love comparative studies, not because I'm thinking either one is better than the other or more effective than the other. Either way, Ifa is Ifa. Orisha is Orisha, or is Orisha. Whether it's Nigerian, Cuban, Brazilian, Trinidadian, Orisha is Orisha, Ifa is Ifa. Truth is truth, regardless of whether it's from the motherland or to the diaspora. There was one last thing I wanted to mention. Let me pause the video and see if I can think of it. Hold on. I remembered what I was going to say. So I'm explaining of me going into their environment and doing things their ways, speaking their language. There was no Spanish spoken. I'm very conscious. I'm speaking to people that I don't know. You have to be mindful of when you're around a new group of people. If I'm around a bunch of my peoples and New Yorkers and people from Jersey, hey, yo, what up, my nigga? How you doing? Blah, 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 yo, bendición, my nigga, how you doing, my dude? Blah, blah, blah. That's how we talk. But I'm in a whole new environment, and I adjusted my ways and my speech and my rhetoric and my understanding. Okay, people were saying Ibashe instead of Ibaye. I'll be right there saying Ibashe with you, if that's how y'all do things. Inversely, if anybody from that camp comes to my abode, comes to a ceremony that I'm hosting, and I'm feeding Egun, we fed Egungun over there, maybe we're feeding Egun over here, or feeding my warriors or whoever, and they come to salute my shrine, and they salute me, I would tell them, no, for Elegua, no, you get on the ground all the way, face down, just like the rest of the Orishas. And when you greet, if you're going to salute me, okay, so after you greet the shrine, you salute the person, the santero. No, you don't do that little push-up thing. You go all the way down to the floor, and I lift you up. I cross my hands. I have to say a few words and then lift you up, and just teach the person to say, "This is what I'm gonna do." Oh, you're a woman and you have ifa made, but you don't have ocha made. No, no one's gonna prostrate to you because in Lukumi, unless you have ocha made, regardless of if you have ifa made, you don't have orisha on your head, so there is no one needs to salute you in that way, outside of a basic bendición, nice to see you. If a person has, let's say, ochun on the head, and there was a very, very nice lady that I met, very kind, and to greet, granted, she was younger, but if she was older than me, then I would go all the way down to the ground. But here, if she was in my spot, I think she had like 4 years. Oh, no, she was younger. But if she came here, I would say, no, as a woman, this thing about you bow to the person, or you bow to the person to salute them, and you put your hand out like this, and then the elder like touches your hands. I would say, no, you're going to do what's called yinka, and you're gonna go on the ground on each hip, and I would show them, because they're under my roof, and under my roof we practice lukumi, and under my roof we come from the lineage of Niabele Gonzalez Apoto Chulaibo, who was right there side by side with Efuche. And we do things the way Efuche taught, the way Latuan taught, the way Aurora Lamar taught, the way Osaunco taught. And not in an arrogant way, but because when I'm in your space, I need to adjust and adapt to your ways of doing things. But when you're in my space, I expect the same courtesy and respect to be shown to my own orishas. The only exception that I would think of is if I had that Iyanifa, who has 20 plus years of Oya made, if she came to my environment, out of respect for her deep seniority of having 20 plus years, when it comes, if she were to salute my shrine, if she does the whole, instead of doing the yinka, like Oya, she has a different Nigerian Isese way, I would modopwe, If the person has like basically like maybe less than 5 years or something, I would insist, please, this is a Lukumi household, and this is how we do things in Lukumi. You get down all the way to the ground, or we do this or that, or you have Ifa made, but you don't have Ocha made. There's no one's throwing themselves to you. No one's saluting you in that manner, because that doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Yanifa Lukumi. Not to invalidate what you have on your head, but there is no, that doesn't exist. So there is no, if you don't have Ocha on your head, no one is going to be throwing themselves to you. Or if they do, then it's just the touch on the floor out of respect for the Ifa that walks with you, So, it's just, everything boils down to respect at the end of the day. But I hope that you enjoyed this video, and let me know of your personal experiences as far as it pertains to, did you come from Lukumi and then go to Isese, or go from Isese to Lukumi, and what was your experiences of dealing with that environment of just stepping into that world? If you're Isese and you came to Lukumi and you're like, yo, what the hell are these people doing? They're throwing themselves, they're saluting El Lagba like this. Shouldn't they be turning around and shaking their butt because you're not supposed to salute the warriors in that way? That's like disrespectful or something because he's a trickster or something like that. Or vice versa. I was shocked when I saw No Yotunji and I was going to prostrate before the Lagwa. And they said, no. You got to turn around and shake your ass. They didn't say that, but that's what I was like. You got to turn around and shake your ass. Yeah, you like literally, you got to see it. It's hilarious. But that's what they do. And out of respect, that's what I do when I'm in Isese Lagba environment. So let me know what you think in the comments below, what you think of this topic. Peace out. Ki Oloro Nagbeyo.